What's up, A to Z Sports here live on a Thursday. Gonna have a good show, as we always say we're gonna have a good show, but I do think this one's gonna be a little bit different than the last couple because we've been going through the chaos of the in-season shock of the Brian Callahan firing. As wild as it is to say that Brian Callahan being fired in season is a shock, based on the 1-5 record to start, the way it happened, the time that it happened, I think did catch a lot of people off guard. And we're going to hear now from the players for the first time because it happened Monday midday. The players were out. Normally players talk on Mondays, select players talk Mondays at the press conference microphone after games alongside Brian Callahan, but that did not happen because of the obvious news. We went through Chad Brinker, Mike Pergonzi presser on Monday night. We had Mike McCoy for the first time on Tuesday afternoon. Then we had Mike McCoy again after the first practice as the interim head coach, and then the open locker room session. And JT, you and Easton were both there, and I'm sure it was a very busy locker room. And you guys used all 45 minutes of allotted time on Wednesday to talk to as many Titans players as possible for the first time after the head coach was fired. We will hear from 3 players on video. We've got quotes from 2 others about change that was needed. And then a topic that I want to dive into after we talk about that, which is the biggest change in Mike McCoy's practice from, or the biggest emphasis that Mike McCoy is putting on his practices now as the interim head coach. And what I heard from that, I want to know what you guys hear from that. We'll do that second on the show here. And then we'll do some trivia, and hopefully trivia is better than it was yesterday. I will admit I was distracted by trivia yesterday. I will tell you more about why I was distracted during trivia yesterday when we get to trivia. So we're going to have a good show here. JT, what's up? Welcome in. Let's get this thing off and load.
Yeah. Good morning, Austin. Hey, at least when it's not one thing, it's another. At least we don't have Xfinity this morning doing work in your area. So I don't know if that was what you're going to say or maybe something else, but
it was not. I was running off a hotspot all show yesterday. But Xfinity texted me at like 2 p.m. like, we finished the work. I was like, okay, cool. Thanks. Work is half over.
Either way, good morning, everybody. Good morning, Danny. Good morning, Orlando. Good morning, Jacoby, Vanessa, Darren. Good to see all of you guys in here. Yes, I apologize for being late. As Joshua says, I got to coach better, got to play together, got to play better. I understand that. Titans Kyle says, JT, get your act together, set an earlier alarm. It wasn't me waking up this morning. It's me sitting down. And I know many of you have heard in the past week or so, sometimes I talk and all of a sudden my mic just crackles and there's a weird sound. This morning I plugged my mic in and that's all you could hear in my headphones. And I said, well, that's not going to work. So if you saw the rest of my room right now, my tech bin, I guess you could call it, with all my cords and everything is laid out on the floor because I had to dig for a new XLR cable. It's going to be fun to clean up after the show, but hey, we are here and excited to talk about how this team moves forward. So let's get it going.
Yeah, the ultimate panic of a tech issue right at the game time. The years and years of Zach and I doing that in the early days of A to Z, when tech was a lot more difficult to do live stream to multiple platforms before things that happened during COVID. But yes, and Dav just says, better late than Easton, which I thought was a hilarious way to put that. And Gabriel, yes, the joys of live streaming. All right, let's get it going officially. Welcome to A to Z Sports here live on a Thursday. I'm Austin Stanley. He's JT Runke. We're Nashville's on-demand sports talk network, going live weekday mornings at 8 Central Time on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Links to the show segment by segment on our Twitter X timeline. You can hit us up on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads for more great Titans content. Leave us a 5-star Google review. That goes a long way for our company. Helps us out quite a bit. It's actually a quick story on that. On our Google reviews. We covered the entire NFL and college football. And I got a notification that we got a 5-star Google review in my email yesterday. And I realized it was from the state of Ohio because somebody left a review, 5 stars, for Brandon Little, our Browns and Ohio State writer, saying, just met Brandon. Had a great time talking Browns. He does a great job. Keep it up. 5 stars. Bang. I'm like, all right, Brandon getting a 5-star review outside of the Nashville market. So all of that goes really well for us. But also we got to thank our sponsors because they make it happen for us, and they help out all of you. Wilson County Hyundai, make them a part of your new car buying process. Go see them in Lebanon or online at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. The Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Also, Barton Drury Insurance Group, customized solutions for all of your insurance needs. They're local to the area and online, bartondrury.com. Botero Carts, life is short, buy a golf cart, 2 locations, Columbia and Gallatin. And Window Nation, buy 2 windows, get 2 windows free with no payments needed for at least 2 years at windownation.com. Get your free assessment today. So Rashad says, thought Callie was safe, Austin. Yeah, before the season started, I thought Callahan was safe because I did not expect the unmitigated disaster that was the first 6 weeks of this season to play out the way that they did. And I'm just going to go ahead because, new people are chiming in throughout the week after Brian Callahan got fired, and our show was very steadfast in the feelings that the worst case scenario would be a in-season firing or a firing even at the end of this year of head coach Brian Callahan for Cam Ward, because that was the messaging from the Titans front office to us and the rest of the media throughout the entirety of the offseason, especially after the drafting of Cam Ward, number 1 overall. But the growth was the problem. And so this was from Easton back in August. And the areas of growth in Callahan's second year are mostly capital H, capital C head coach things, management, delegation, versatility, the kinds of executive things a coordinator by trade has little experience with. That shouldn't come as much as a surprise given Callahan's background. The early returns on his growth as a coach in these areas have been largely positive. So that was just that, right? And that's basically what Chad Brinker said as the speaker of Amy Adams Strunk and ownership, is that the growth was not shown. And we've been through this, right? The first 3 weeks of the season, there were multiple things and decisions and operations that Brian Callahan failed at with a head coach management. They made the play calling change to put Bo Hardigree in charge of play calling to take that off his plate. It seemed like that change did, JT, kind of iron out some of the in-game capital H, capital C head coaching decisions and flow. But the offense still sucked, right? The offense, since Bo Hardigree, dang it, started calling the plays, scored 0, 22, and 10 points. Not exactly the great, impressive resume that he had, putting up 63 on the Chargers as the interim play caller.
I will say, though, the Raiders are really good at getting head coaches fired. Both Brandon Staley in that game, and their
own coaches.
Yes, and their own coaches.
Yeah, the Raiders have had a tremendous amount of coaches since John Gruden beat Bill Callahan in the Super Bowl back in 2002. Rainey says, not to come to Austin's defense, but I believe he said something about it being a complete disaster. Oh, I did. And I actually have that video now. Let me see if I can pull it up of what I said before the season started, just to make sure I cover my own ass at all times. Second and third year jump. But I think 6-11 is fine. I like Yuri says, does 6-11 keep Callahan's job? Yes.
That was good. Yuri, that was my follow-up.
I mean, I don't. They're going to have. It's going to have to be unmitigated disaster with other stuff for Brian Callahan to get fired. That is and I think we have seen that come to fruition. So that was the Friday right before week 1. And they should have won that week 1 game, not to go too far back in the past, but I think we kind of have to kind of set the table, because that's kind of what JT, take us into the locker room yesterday. The first time you guys as a media group are going into the locker room to talk to these players who now have had roughly 48 hours to reflect and process the firing of their head coach after a 1-5 start.
Yeah, well, first of all, I think it was as good of a locker room as you could get the first time talking to the media after your head coach gets fired. And what I mean by that is that there were a lot of veteran players out and about there, but it for lack of a better term, it really did feel like a ghost town. There was no energy. clearly different amounts of players in there from previous weeks. Certainly seemed like a day where we got to talk to the Mike McCoy and Cam Ward, and these players were like, all right, I gotta, this is a 3-second shower, get my stuff and get out of here before anybody else comes in, type of thing. But give credit to a lot of the players and the veterans who on this team who you would think stick around. Amani Hooker, Jeffrey Simmons, Chiga Conquo, Devontre Sweat, J.C. Latham, Peter Skoronsky. A lot of those guys were around and available, but a lot of the rest of the team was nowhere to be. And that is also because a lot of the players had rest days or did not practice. So by rule, we are not allowed to talk to them if they didn't practice for anything other than a rest day. Mm-hmm. But then again, we talked to Devontre Sweat. So like the rules are weird around there right now, just like the vibe is in the locker room. It's weird. Yeah. And yesterday there was not a lot of players around, if I'm being honest. So,
well, speaking of weird, Major Keys has a comment here on YouTube. I'm guessing he had a YouTube ad play before we went live. He said, Austin, why are y'all advertising for Viagra? And I will just say we have no control over the YouTube ads that play throughout the show.
That's actually based on your search history and data.
Yes, Keys. That's what I was going to say. Cookies. So Major Keys, I don't know. Why are you getting Viagra ads? Anyway, all right, let's go ahead and dive into the first of these videos we're going to play. This is Jeffrey Simmons, team captain, who is playing at, if there's anything higher than an all-pro level, I think Jeffrey Simmons is playing at that right now. But here's Jeff talking about the firing of Brian Callahan and his reaction.
Yes, was shocked at first. Didn't expect it. No one expected this early or to happen, I guess, especially so early in the season. But it happened, and it's the business we're in, and we all have a job, and our job is to prepare for the Patriots and be ready for this week.
So shocked that it happened this early, or that it happened at all. So I think, look, I think everybody was shocked that it happened on Monday, right before Vrabel comes to town. I think that was the situation here. It wasn't the fact that it didn't happen, but Drayden says Jeff is being naive. I don't think he's being naive. I think, nobody was really antennas up on Monday being the day. It was usually the few Mondays before that. It was after Houston, I think after the Colts game, where you got embarrassed by a division rival, and then you followed up by getting embarrassed by another division rival. After the Colts game is when they changed the play caller situation. And then you get blanked by Amy's hometown backup franchise, Houston Texans, and you would expect it there. Then they beat the Cardinals in an unmitigated success type of way, if we want to keep using unmitigated. And then all of a sudden, now here we are, and maybe it was going to be this upcoming Monday if they get just destroyed by the Patriots. But do you buy that he was shocked there, JT?
No, I don't. I think Jeff is saying. Do I want to believe him? Probably, but much like the rest of the players, the writing's on the wall there for this team. I think it is a weird week to do it for sure. I even said that on Tuesday. We ran that all down. I thought that this was the first week that it potentially could happen for Brian Callahan to get fired, because you weren't going. I think, once again, after those first two divisional games, I think it's too early, right? You're 0-4. I think that would even look worse than it does from a national perspective. You weren't going to do it in the middle of the road trip, but this was the week that you could start to say, we're going to pull the trigger now. And I thought with time, even after this week, it probably would have looked better and better the later you did it. But yeah, I think this week was especially tough because of what the players knew was on the line, especially a guy like Jeff to do that, and also trying to focus on it. Maybe that's where he's getting the surprise, but you're going to hear from other players in this locker room. The consensus on the record, off the record, type of thing is the vibe is that it was a shock that it happened this week, but to say they're surprised it's happening, I don't think it is very true.
And that's fair. Timing, not the actual result
Yes.
or the actual action, but the timing of it. All right, so we're going to hear from some more of those players. You talked about needed to change now. But first, let me tell you guys about Window Nation. WindowNation.com is a website. You go to that website, WindowNation.com. You click the button, get a free estimate. And then the rest is kind of easy because they will call you, set up a call to come to your home to check out what all you would need for for new windows. And they have a great deal going on right now. It was going through just September. They said it's going so well, especially in Nashville. You guys in Nashville are responding to it. They extended it through October. I took advantage of it. It's buy 2 windows, get 2 windows free. No payments necessary for at least 2 years or up to 2 years right there. So the Titans will be playing football games in their brand new stadium before you have to pay anything on your windows. No down payment, no interest, none of that stuff right there. No catches. It's really impressive in what they do. They came to our house. We've had new windows on our long-term project since we've been here for a couple of years in this house now. And they did a great presentation. Roy, who runs the Nashville market, is a great guy. He's been a part of Window Nation for a long time, and he's doing a phenomenal job with how they set up their customer service and how they take care of you. Because they came in for about an hour. It felt like we were building a relationship. It was felt like we were hanging out, and then we were talking about new windows, how our builder grade windows are a net negative for our bills, how these new windows are going to keep the temperature that we want it to be inside, and not let the outside, hot or cold, affect it at all. They've got all types of different bells and whistles. They're going to be so easy to clean. They're going to look great. They're going to raise the value of our home. They're going to do all of these things, and it's a great deal. Buy 2 windows, get 2 windows free, no payments needed for up to 2 years, and so many other different ways that you can get discounts if you're a teacher, if you're a veteran, all these types of things to save thousands and thousands of dollars. I am not joking. You can save thousands and thousands of dollars with the deal going on right now at windownation.com.
Shout out to our friends also at BTA Sports, BTA Better for Betters. It's week 7. We got a game tonight. The Battle of the Unks, I believe they're calling it. Joe Flacco versus Aaron Rodgers. Got to use BTA if you're looking for an edge in that game, because if you want to make smarter bets this season, BTA gives you the edge with machine learning models. From player props to parlays, BTA's platform helps you spot, value, and make sharper plays every week. You can use the code ATOZ14 when you download the BTA Sports app to get a 14-day free trial before a weekly subscription of $9.99. If you don't use that code or use our link, it's only a 3-day trial. So you get 2 weeks instead of 3 days free trial to check it out. See how you can win more often with BTA Sports. You can use the link in our show description or on Facebook, BTA Better for Betters.
All right, let's hear from a couple offensive linemen here. Here is Peter Skoronski, Titans left guard, probably not arguably, the best performing offensive lineman through 6 weeks for the Titans thus far, on his reaction to the Callahan firing this week.
Changes what this team needed.
I'm not really the decision maker here, so I think I'm just trying to do my job and do the best I can. I will say, obviously, things were not working for us offensively, and so I think that change is not a bad thing with that, because obviously things weren't working well. So whatever that is, I don't know. I don't get paid to do that. But obviously 1 and 5, not performing well offensively. I think that I think it's valid to say in general that we need to change things up a little bit, which I think is fair.
So it's fair, valid. Offense stinks. Time to make a change for Peter Skoronski. A diplomatic answer there. Here is right tackle J.C. Latham, who missed the middle 4 games of the first 6 this season.
I mean, it'll always have a sense of urgency to it, especially after every loss. But a change doesn't, if a change doesn't light a fire under you, then I don't know what will. But I mean, we were, a 3-win team last year, and now a 1 and 5 team. So, I mean, that itself, whether you had a change or not, that should, nobody should like to lose. So we all should hate losing just as much as everybody else. So whether we change the coach or not, the intent of what we want to do should never change.
So there's J.C. Latham. What are your thoughts on the 2 offensive linemen right there, who also lost their offensive line coach, Bill Callahan? However, Bertha and Olga, the 2 sleds, are still there, as well as the other patented invented sleds from Bill Callahan as Teron Davenport did his Meta Glasses video, looking around the O-line corner there with all those different fun equipment and toys that Bill's had the last couple of years. What are your thoughts on the two O-linemen there?
Yeah, well, hey, Scott Fuchs and the rest of the offensive line, coaching staff, and Tennessee Titans, I guess, keep custody of Bertha and Olga. So there you go.
Here's my thought on that is that those things, what they weigh, like 380 pounds, that was the whole story coming out of it. It's going to take some time. If they actually are trying to get rid of those things, like you're going to have to get a truck out there. You're going to have to. First of all, you're going to have to get the whole O-line group to just move them closer so the truck doesn't ruin all of the grass. How do you even deliver that thing in the first place? So
imagine a truck just dropping them off in the lawn of Bill Callahan middle of the season. Yes. On that point, I think Peter Skronsky and JC both were, a little taken aback more about that, losing that guy in their coaching room. JC also talked about how influential Bill was on his development early last season and going into this one. So there is, I think, maybe change there. If we had to ask them, maybe isn't the best thing, but yeah, I like JC's answer more than Peter's. Let's just put it that way. Okay. I think JC knows that regardless of if Brian Callahan is the coach there or not, the whole team needs to play better. Like, change can happen, and I think that goes along the lines with, I saw someone comment here earlier as well, like Amani Hooker talked yesterday as well, and is like, the head coach has changed, but if nothing, or the head coach is gone, but if nothing changed, then we got to start firing players or something, because ultimately, no matter what, it's on the players still to go out there and execute, and that just still hasn't happened. And I understand that, like, the angle where Peter Skronsky is coming from, like, might as well just, kind of goes back to that, let's throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks now, because obviously it wasn't working. But still, it's like your group as a whole still has not looked good, even though you are the best of how bad it is, Peter. Like, I think it's fair to say that, but I just think the way JC said it was more, I guess, how the locker room is feeling.
Well, and JC included, 3 wins last year, bad this year, so I agree with you on that point. Let's take a quick tangent here. Matthew and others have been commenting about how bad the O-line's been and what Bill Callahan didn't do. Excuse me here. The O-line still sucked. Did Bill Callahan do any good? What are your thoughts on this? Because, even as Bill Callahan leaves the Titans, and I guess he can kind of go do whatever he wants to at this point. I don't know if he can join a team in season or not. I don't know the rules on all that, but he is now gone.
I know a lot of people were talking as if he can join on as a offensive assistant,
like
wherever
analyst type deal.
Yeah.
Like maybe like an off-field type role.
I know there was a lot of buzz in Cleveland for them to be like, get him back.
Yeah, bring him back. Bring him back, because they need help on offense too. But like the O-line hasn't gotten any better. Like, what type of job, and we can probably unpack this more when we have more time later on, but like, what type of job did Bill Callahan do?
I believe on the record, and if not, I'm saying, like, it might be time for him to just hang it up, call it a career, like, at this point, because I think individually he did a lot of good things for J.C. Latham, for Lloyd Cushenberry, for Peter Skronsky, for a lot of those guys. As a whole, in the management of the line, I think he left a lot to be desired for this team, especially going into this year where you have the better talent. I also just have a lot of questions about how they went about constructing the offensive line and how they would utilize some of the pieces, especially last year. I understand that they were playing, they were going into the blackjack table or they're going into a hand of Texas Hold'em with a 2-7, right? In terms of what they had on the right side of the line. However, the idea to continue to rotate guys in game as if this was like a sample size and like, let's see what, like, who shows the most promise in an NFL game. I thought that was very silly. The guys he would bring in that he's worked with before all basically did not work out, whether it was Sadiq Charles, Leroy Watson, all of those guys, you know, I forget the other names, but like also Blake Hance, like those guys have not worked out. And I think it's just, you know, as much as he can teach technique, I have like the fundamentals of how they wanted to run the offense were just never going to work here, especially in his run scheme. The run scheme only ever worked if everybody hit on their marks perfectly. And that's hard to do 100% of the time in run scheme. And I just think it wasn't the right fit.
So the results are still the Titans offensive line is a detriment more often than it is a positive, right? I think that's the result of it. So, you know, that's why Bill Callahan is not here alongside they fired his son as the head coach. It's kind of awkward for dad to stay around. But I also think I agree with what you said. So I want to preface what I'm about to say with I agree. There was a lot left to be desired, but there was a lot of curveballs as well, right? Like, you drafted J.C. Latham, and then you made him go play the right side to make him a left tackle, and then now you're making him go back to the right side. Lloyd Cushenberry was signed to be your big center to anchor things, and he, you know, came in after the first month of gelling. He was playing well, then tore his Achilles. So that affects the entire next thing because he's out for training camp, and Corey Levin was doing a pretty good job at center throughout training camp, the preseason, but here comes Cushenberry's back, who is way better than Levin, but he's coming off of the Achilles injury, and now he's being thrown into that. So there's, you know, continuity and chemistry is so important with the five guys that need to play like a fist instead of five fingers thing when you've got a lot. And then look, JC had a good camp. He gets hurt late in camp. Now he's out, misses some practice time as Cushenberry comes in. Zeitler's first year. There was all this Dan Moore's in, like there's all this weird stuff that's happening. Now they couldn't figure out the answers. And then they started to play better with Ole Udoh getting some consistency in there. Then Zeitler misses time. Blake Hansen's like, it was just like a bunch of moving pieces. Like they never had continuity. They never had a chance to build. And that's how it goes in the NFL. But there was a lot of curveballs thrown. But again, the job wasn't very well done. It was a failure, and that's the result, regardless of what happened before the result. But you know, I do think they have been going through a lot of different moving chairs on the offensive line, and I think it's fair to recognize that as you're still saying it was a failed job.
Yeah, and the one thing I point to is that this is the worst Kevin Zeitler's looked, and like that also comes with nuance. Like he is getting up there in age, but like I would have expected him and Bill Callahan to make him look like one of the anchors of that offensive line, and yet he, for the most part, in a lot of this season, has been one of the detrimental parts. And Peter Skoronski has been the big guy there. So like I understand what you're saying, but I still think that there was just some things that just weren't clicking with Bill in this offensive line. And I think that's a big part of it. Also, I just want to point this comment out because I think it's really funny because this has been a discussion on Titans Twitter, especially in the film community, that people are now thinking J.C. Latham future is at right guard, which I want to say I think is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Which I think is funny. So like we are down bad when it comes to talking about the Titans offensive line right now.
All right, so let's get to a couple other players who had comments about change that was being made. And this is from Paul Kaharski, who had his paulkaharski.com article up last night. Chig Okonkwo, so we're going to go with first. Quote, "We've been down for so long in the NFL, you can't keep going with something that's just not producing the product. You know how in this league, when you lose so much, change has to be made. I didn't see it coming in terms of when it happened. But like I said, when you lose as many games as we did, it's on the horizon." So again, the timing threw Chig off, but understood the bigger picture. And then second-year linebacker James Williams came in with some spice. That's ain't my decision. I can't speak for them, but I'm pretty sure it was time for a change, and I guess it's time for us to adjust. We've got to play more complementary football. We've just got to eliminate our mistakes on the defensive side and continue to play hard, but play longer. We've been playing good, but we've got to play longer, create more, and make more plays for us to have a chance. So James Williams has now spoken out pretty spicy twice. This one, I'm pretty sure it was time for change. And then also talking about Jarvis Brownlee Jr.'s trade there. But we can dive deeper into those comments there. But let's get the chat more involved here. And like I do, I like putting up a good YouTube poll. So I'll work on that here in a second. But buy or sell the Titans speaking out about being on board for time for a change with the Brian Callahan firing, the Titans players speaking out and being on board, time for a change. Here, I'll update that question here in a second, JT, and I'll throw that in the chat for you. But then tell us about Botero carts.
Sorry, I had to sneeze there, but yes,
you're good.
Life is short. Buy a golf cart, and you got to do it with our friends over at Botero Carts. 0% financing for 36 months. Carts starting at just $6,700. Open 7 days a week with a full service sales and rental dealership. They're locally owned and operated with 2 locations to serve you here in the Middle Tennessee area, one in Gallatin and their new location in Columbia, Tennessee. No dealer fee, no credit card fees, so no hidden fees that are going to catch up to you or surprise you like this firing surprised a lot of the Titans players this week when you buy your golf cart. No credit needed option as well on your shiny new golf cart that they store indoors for your satisfaction. Life is short. Buy a golf cart, and when you do it with our friends over at Botero Carts.
All right, it's Thursday, which means it's time for BTA Sports. You can start to dive into the upcoming NFL slate with Thursday Night Football. You know, AFC North action with Bengals and Steelers. You can check out what BTA thinks about that game and every other game across the NFL, including Titans Patriots. They do their own projection models. They're going to make you a better sports bettor. They also have player props. What percentage chance does Chig have to go for 30-plus yards against the Patriots? Or if Calvin Ridley's out, can you look at what Van Jefferson props are? Or Alec Ayumanor or Chim Dike? What's going to change with this Mike McCoy offense? Maybe you have a gut feeling on this. You can go check out BTA Sports. They're better for bettors and daily fantasy players. With download the app today. You can use our link in the Facebook title, the YouTube description to download the app. Click on that link, or you can use the code on their website, ATOZ14. That's ATOZ14 to get a 14-day free trial before a $10 weekly subscription. Normally it's a 3-day free trial. So we're giving you 11 extra days, but you have to use our link and our code. You should do it because it's a great product and it's just $9.99 per week for the rest of the season. BTA Sports, ATOZ14, or the link in the show description today. All right, JT, I'll let you go to the chat because I did post that YouTube poll and it's in the chat. Buy or sell the Titans players being on board about it being a time for a change with the Brian Callahan firing. What are you seeing on the early returns on Titans players being on board for this to happen?
Yeah, Steven kicks us off and says he's buying it. Corey also says he's buying it. Tall Texan buying it. Most players want to win. Daniel saying buy. No one likes to lose. Eric says buy. They're unbothered. I don't think they're unbothered by it. It certainly was. It's a big change that they have to make in the locker room, but I understand where you're coming from. Darius says buy. Will says buy. Bearded says buy. Sean says sell. Players need to be better, which I think is fair. Zach says buy. Cause buy. Buying. Where do I enter my CC information? Jeffrey says buy in bulk. Jeff says sell. Just coach speak from the players. Rhonda says buy. A lot of buys. Sell. Bork says sell because they know their jobs are next. Rashad says bought it last year. Jeremy said buy. Malachi said buy, but for how long? It may only be a buy for 2 weeks. Troy says sell. Edward says sell. Sell the team as well. There you go. Get that one in for the day. RAS buy. So very much in a landslide here, I think it's a buy. I don't know if I necessarily agree. So
look, there are, I think the people that are buying it are, it's fair, but the people that are selling it, I think you have to think about what else are they going to say, right?
Yes.
The season's got 11 games left. When Mike Vrabel was fired, let's go back to that. Mike Vrabel was fired on a Tuesday. There was a locker room cleanout day with the players on the Monday. And I remember Harold Landry was basically saying, I don't know what this team I don't know what this world is going to be if Mike Vrabel's not the head coach moving forward. It hadn't happened yet, but it felt like it was trending that way. But the season was over, right? There was no games left. So 11 games left, they kind of have to say this. So that's why I think there's a fair buy or sell situation here. David says sell, going to let the blame for their poor performance get directed to the scapegoat, the fall guy of Brian Callahan. So there's another reason why you can sell that too. So, I think when you see Peter Skoronski be very diplomatic about, it's above my pay grade, but, we haven't been good on offense, so there's a change to be made that's fair. Chig saying it's fair. It was going to happen at some point. I was surprised by the timing of it. JC said, 4 wins and a year plus, not good enough. You got to be better, fair. James Williams was really the one that stuck his chest out and said time for a change, pretty directly. So JT, are you a buy or a sell on this, that players are on board with the firing of Brian Callahan because time was needed to change?
I think, to me, it's a sell because, like you said, it's diplomatic. It's a lot of player speak. They're saying the right things because the PR probably spent a lot of time with them in that locker room saying, this is what you have to say. I guess James Williams didn't really get the message, or, kind of the message, but this is what you're going to say, or this is how you're going to approach it. Anything else that you feel, don't say it now, basically. But I also think it's a sell because I think we're going back to that same argument that regardless of change, regardless of who the head coach is, and I've said this week, we talk about a fired head coach bump in the next game. The players get up to do that. I don't think that's going to happen because I just don't think players. I don't think it's going to happen because I don't think these players. I don't think this team is good. I don't think these players can play winning football. So, I think it's more on them to see the change than it is what Mike McCoy is going to bring. But once again, I don't think they're wrong to say, I understand why they're saying it, but ultimately it's going to be how they play on the field before anything else.
Yeah. I think I haven't mentioned the biggest reason why I'm selling this is because no player really had an answer for, what is going to change? What is the outcome going to be other than motivation, right? That is the only answer of what is this going to actually change? Callahan's out. It's not like a new, I saw Kirk in the comments earlier was is Mike McCoy bringing in a new playbook or is he just doing the same? It's the same playbook.
Bo Hardegree is still going to be calling the same bad plays in the same bad order.
Yeah, and I think the play calling has gotten worse with Bo Hardegree calling it prior to when Brian Callahan was calling plays. Yes. I think Mike McCoy is a better in-game head coach than Brian Callahan because of his experience doing it. He's just got way more experience doing it. He's got more experience as an offensive mind, as an offensive coach. He's been doing it a lot longer, obviously. But Brian Callahan had gotten better at that, but the team is bad. And I think we all knew the team was going to be bad, but it was worse because the head coach was making his own mistakes too and not showing the growth that he needed to. Now, Keelan says different scripts. So, maybe, but Mike McCoy was a part of the process, right? And Mike McCoy, this is why I don't think that there's anything drastic that really can change outside of motivation. Because Mike McCoy is an offensive assistant and was brought in by Brian Callahan. as a mentor to help him at the capital H, capital C head coaching things, as Easton put in August. And he's a part of the game scripts. He's a part of helping the whole offensive game plan process. So like Mike McCoy's not just saving things in his back pocket for when I'm the interim coach, I'm going to do these things, but I'm not going to tell him right now because
I want to be head coach.
Because I want to. No, because that's not how he was operating. Like he's operating to help his mentee and friend Brian Callahan be as good as he possibly can, and to help Nick Holtz do his job as offensive coordinator, to help Bo Hardegree do his job as quarterback coach, then turn quarterback coach and play caller. So like, what else is there going to be that's, I mean, you can do a couple little things. I want to get to those here in a little bit, but I'm mostly a sell on this because outside of motivation, there's really not too much that's going to change because Mike McCoy and Brian Callahan and Holtz and Hardegree were trying to do all these finding out what works things before.
Yeah. I going back to our show yesterday, we're going to see them try other things for the sake of this isn't working. So we just need to try for the sake of trying and seeing what sticks. I mean, Keelan says motivation will help too. Like I will believe it when I see it, that Mike McCoy's motivation alone gets these wide receivers more open. Or I will believe it when I see it, when this motivation makes Cam's footwork look better, which Cam even is denying that his footwork is as bad as we've been talking about, which I don't know if I believe him on that. I think you just look at what this team is, and this is why I said I'm selling as well. It's like, it's up to the players to start playing better and executing what they want to do. Because like you said, Mike McCoy's not bringing in a new playbook. Mike McCoy, I don't have reason to believe, is going to try to implement more RPO or play action if that wasn't already in the playbook, except for the fact that they're going to try things to try things. But it's on, and I think we're going to get to this here in a second, like it's on focusing on the development and the players throughout the week and the motivation there, that I think you can probably see some progress, and hopefully that turns into the players playing better on Sundays.
Right. All right. So I'm trying to scroll through here, see some comments that we can get to. Cameron says, it's not like McCoy had a lot of say up to this point on offense. No, I think he was involved. Like Mike McCoy was involved with Cam Ward. He and Cam Ward have a relationship. There's a picture, the Titans, Jim Wyatt wrote an article about it. There's a picture of Mike McCoy with his arm around Cam, walking off the field against the Falcons in a preseason game. So he was involved in the situation. It's not like he was just some distant off-field assistant analyst coach who was not doing much. So Brian Callahan's burner on YouTube, not Brian Callahan, but saying, are we admitting the Titans drafted bad this season? No, I don't think we're admitting that at all. I think it's too early, but I think for the most part, the rookies have been solid overall. Jason says a lot can change in the key of choosing not to throw screens to Lockett, choosing less crowded routes. I mean, I guess
that's on Bo Hardegree. That's not on Mike McCoy. That's on Bo Hardegree to do in the play calling.
Well, that's on the, like, there were 4 people. Let's just, there's more than that. There was, like, I don't know, because Randy Jordan's the screen guy, right?
Randy Jordan, Mike Tolbert, everybody's in.
Yeah, there's so many, like, only one person is removed from the game planning aspect, the head coach, Brian Callahan. And so, like, how much did those guys just keep their mouths shut and just defer to the coach? I don't think that happened because that's not Brian Callahan's personality. Brian Callahan's personality isn't, no, my ideas only. So I don't know what's going to change. Now, we are going to get to something that Jeffrey Simmons said, and I want you guys to listen to something that I hear about this. But JT, before we hear from Jeffrey Simmons again about the biggest change at Mike McCoy's practice, first tell us about the Bone and Joint Institute.
Yeah, the Bone and Joint Institute, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedics and sports medicine. I actually got to see the Bone and Joint Institute yesterday when Easton took me to pick up my car after it was getting fixed. I was like, what is that? He's like, look at that big building over there right off 65. And I said, what is that? He said, look closer. And I looked and I said, oh my God, that's the Bone and Joint Institute. place is like a campus, which it is because they are once again located in Franklin with over a dozen specialists who can help you get through any type of injury. And they truly, it looks like a state-of-the-art rehab facility on campus to help you recover. And that is everything under one roof for your convenience. Clinic, testing, imaging, surgery, and rehab. Whenever you get hurt in life, you have to know who to trust, and that's why we trust the Bone and Joint Institute. Don't fumble your recovery. To schedule an appointment, go to boneandjointtn.org.
BTA Sports, better for bettors. It's pretty simple. You get a 14-day free trial to get their analytics, their projections on the NFL slate every week when it comes to lines, totals, player props, stats, all these things, and how it compares to the Vegas lines. Use our code ATOZ14 or click the link on the Facebook title or in the YouTube description to get a 14-day free trial. That's a upgrade from a 3-day free trial for a weekly subscription at just $10. So you get 2 full weeks before you have to pay anything with BTA Sports. Better for bettors. Okay, let's hear from Jeffrey Simmons now. And I want you guys to tell me, what do you hear when you hear Jeffrey Simmons talk about Mike McCoy's message before practice on Wednesday? Here's Jeff.
Rest day, so I'm sure I'll see the tape, and I'm sure the tempo and things of that nature, the things that he talked about this morning, just different type of urgency that may need to get picked up. I'll see that on the tape this evening. But like I said, his message and everything is very clear, and not that it haven't been clear, but just his message been that he preached this morning about practice and things of that nature. Like I said, I wasn't out there today, but I see it.
So his message, clear, tempo, right? Tempo is what he talked about, and urgency there. So I want to know, what did you guys hear when Jeff was talking about the tempo of Mike McCoy's practice and what the message was? So what did you guys hear when Jeffrey Simmons talks about tempo right there? And so I'm going to put that in the chat right there. Instantly, I see Tall Texan saying up-tempo offense. And so MC says, y'all got to fix your mics. The sound's always like crap. This team's been playing. Our mics are like the audio.
I think he's talking about the audio, which, first of all, that was audio straight from the Titans. So
yeah, so maybe it just wasn't. Maybe we can just boost that next time. But so Jeff, for those who didn't hear it, Jeffrey Simmons said that he was not practicing at a rest day, but from the team meeting that Mike McCoy had, the message was clear. Not that it wasn't before, but tempo, urgency, tempo. So that is that message. So what do you guys, when you guys hear tempo from Mike McCoy practice, what do you guys think? What makes you think that result can be? Because I have a different take than what I think most did. So JT, I don't know if you can see the comments there and what people are saying.
Yeah, Jeff says, just straight up, he says no jogging around or walking between drills there as well. Major says that Brian Callahan was slow in his practices, I guess. Tighten Up says he hears a man who has been held hostage by his due diligence. Darius says he heard up-tempo and sense of urgency. That's what we're asking, though. We're asking,
what does that mean?
What does that mean? Is it mean actually in game, or are they practicing as if they're going to go up-tempo, like a lot of people are saying? Or does that mean something different? Zach says, I took it as they went from A to B to Z without hiccups. McCoy knows what he's doing and doesn't let them lollygagging. Let's see what else we have. He says, I really hope it means we play no huddle, but knowing this team, it just means more runs and screens. Titans Kyle says, breaking the huddle sooner so we don't speed up the offensive line and make the snap count predictable. Keelan says, more intense. Johnny FNC says, the Titans wasted time getting to the line and ran down the play clock when they were losing games. Some of the dumbest football I've ever seen.
Real quick, because Titans Kyle and then Johnny just said that. So I actually I instructed Easton to ask Brian Callahan about that on Monday. but that press conference never happened. So,
and now I'm be honest, I don't think you're going to get an answer out of Mike McCoy on that. Unfortunately, if we want to take a quick aside, throw all your questions out the window because Mike McCoy ain't answering a thing the rest of the way.
But I do want to see if there's a difference in that. So that is something to watch. That's not what I think it means. I'll kind of dive into this because I think a lot of people's initial reaction was, oh, up-tempo offense. And you go no huddle because that's been a narrative and a talking point over the last few weeks was no huddle, up-tempo, Cam likes that, you get in a rhythm, go quicker, all these things. And we talked some yesterday about it. But that's not at all what I think I mean. And you guys, I'm proud of the chat here. I see more of what I believe is the correct answer to this than what I've seen on social media or other chats since this came out. I agree with you guys that it means you have to play with a different practice with a different sense of urgency and pacing and less lackadaisical and more serious. You're there to do a job. I don't necessarily know that they were lollygagging. It didn't seem like training camp was hard this year, right? Like training camp was intense. And so I don't necessarily think they just let off the gas and because we can't see the practice. The media cannot see the practices in the season. Those are closed. So did it become more lax? Did it come more outside classroom type practices? We don't know the answer to what the last 6 weeks have been under Brian Callahan, but the practices were not slow and soft and easy in training camp. They were the opposite, like we talked about, fast, aggressive, with a lot of batting donuts on because they knew the front end of the schedule was very difficult. So, but yeah, it's urgency. It's kick it up a gear. No walking around. Go. Focus. Let's do it. No mistakes. Come on. Stay sharp. Pacing. Go. And that's what I take it. JT, what's your thoughts?
I think I agree with what you're saying. And then taking that a step forward, it's the idea that now there's more focus on individual drills. I know Mike McCoy said that that's a thing they've implemented is that there's more time spent in individual periods, which I think is good because we talk about what this team needs to do better. They need to play football better. And where does that start? The fundamentals, whether you're a wide receiver, defensive back, like defensive lineman, all of this, like these guys need to be playing better. And it starts at the fundamentals. And it sounds like Mike McCoy is emphasizing that a lot with more individual time to work on their footwork, work on their fundamentals, work on things like that, the technique. I think that's where you can definitely see that up-tempo-ness in the individual period. So I think that's where that's where I think you definitely can see the up-tempo-ness is in their focus and their emphasis, and I guess the urgency on getting the fundamentals right in their positions.
Which I think is what you get out of the motivation from the change. It's the only thing that you can, I think, have some type of tangible evidence of that happening. And so you earlier in the show said you don't expect this team to get an interim coach bump like we see a lot. Now, that an interim coach bump doesn't mean beating the Patriots. It doesn't have to be that result. You can still get that interim coach bump and still lose to the Patriots on Sunday.
Right.
But it just looks different, right?
Yeah. I say that fully well knowing that also could be the case. I just still think that this team is going to look like bad on Sunday, no matter what. And maybe that extra 15 minutes of focusing on the fundamentals and individual drills will relate to some success on Sundays. I don't see it happening.
I think it could because that's the problems I think on the roster are not that it's because individuals create problems for the team on every other play. Right. And so when you do a team practice drill, a lot can be walked through with less intensity, right? Because like if you know it's a run play, then the wide receivers and DBs are not doing what they should be doing, right? Because it's practice, it's Wednesday, Thursday, whatever. But in individual drills, you are on all the time, and you have to be on all the time, and you really have to work on these individual mistakes that are killing this team. Like somebody brought up my favorite one of all time, if I can scroll back to it. The lining up in the neutral zone, right? Like busting diamond. Like, quit doing that. Like, how can we as a coaching staff get these guys to stop lining up off sides to ruin the play before it even happens? And so these things, these small things you can iron out that make big impacts, I think can help out quite a bit when it comes to blocking for these screens. They're going to call screens. Screens are going to happen. They've got to block them better and teach them better. I watched Chim DK try to block for a screen on Sunday in Las Vegas, and as soon as he went to make contact, JT, he lowered his eyes. Like he ducked his head to make that contact. That who taught that? No, I hope nobody. Tyke Tolbert's been a wide receiver coach for 20 years in the NFL. He is not teaching that. He is not teaching to block with your eyes down. So
hopefully
why
not.
is Chim doing that? No,
Yeah.
he shouldn't. I feel very confident saying that Tyke Tolbert is not saying when you go to block, as soon as you get to the defender, close your eyes or lower your head. That's not happening because it's how you miss. Come on. We know how to do this. And so Bork says DK run good, don't block good. And earlier in the YouTube chat, as JT was figuring out his mic cable, somebody was like, when are they going to do one of these fake screens? I was like, that's what they're making DK block for, because one of these times you're going to run his fast ass right down the sideline after he fakes bad blocking and goes for a dolly route. So, you got to fix those things in individual. That's when all that stuff happens. So I do think it could help.
Yeah, hopefully. We'll see.
We got a super chat coming in here. Kane says, so Vrabel reaches out to Callahan. Something about that tells me this loss is going to be biblical because Vrabel has the keys to the house. Outside of some strange capitalization in this, in punctuation in this comment, in spelling, verbal. Does he mean that Brian Callahan gave Mike Vrabel insight to kick the Titans' ass more?
Maybe.
Is that what he is
maybe
insinuating?
that's what he's inferring to. I don't know.
I don't know about that.
That would never. I don't think that would ever happen. But
it would not happen.
Because that would be grounds for Brian Callahan to not cash that check for the next 3 years. So
yes,
no idea.
Speaking of the game, don't forget, if you are going to that Patriots Titans game, check out the Nashville water taxi. If you want to have fun, if you actually this could be the most fun of the entire day. Is taking a boat to the game. So starting at $20 round trip, 15-minute taxi ride to Nissan Stadium, and a 15-minute taxi ride from Nissan Stadium. They also have a great tailgate set up at their grounds just north on the river of the stadium. So the NashvilleWaterTaxi.com is the website. The NashvilleWaterTaxi.com is the website there. So is there anything else you have, JT, before we get to trivia on the change aspect of this?
Not really. I mean, it's going to look a lot different from a coverage standpoint. I think definitely because I saw some comments as well, just going back to the vibe and what we understood from these players yesterday. I think Bustin' Diamond had a comment where he's like, I really liked how Mike McCoy was like, we're not going to give up any of our secrets and keep this close to the vest. I'm like, that it's going, I have a bad feeling that it's going to become, because Mike McCoy is very notorious for this. And you saw it a little bit with his injury update. Very notorious in San Diego of never giving an inch on the injury front. So that, once again, we're going back to the Vrabel days a little bit like that. But even talking about the development of Cam and talking about how he does in RPOs and play actions, and are you seeing, like you said, that question with Easton, the tempo of the offense and how you're going to run it to make sure these things happen. I don't think we're going to get anything now. And I understand, Ashley says McCoy's right. Brian used to yap way too much. That's fair. But it just means you're not going to get as much information. And if this team continues to look as bad as it has, I think you will become more frustrated about this team than anything else, because we won't get any answers.
Like Brian Callahan was very transparent, but
yes,
do you think he was saying things that other teams were like taking at press conferences and using for an advantage? Because I don't think it was that much.
I don't think so either. But like Mike McCoy was talking yesterday about how like, yeah, people they're going to listen to this press conference right here and try to take something away from it, like type of thing. Like,
well, I think that's more because it's the interim situation. Like, I think if this was Mike McCoy's 7th game as the head coach, then it wouldn't mean as much. But I think it's just because of the change.
I hope so.
Right. Because like, John Glennon asked McCoy, like, so what are some broad things that you want to do differently with Cam? like knowing that you're not going to say anything, but I have to ask you this question.
And there is one more. It's like, I feel like even with like the coordinators or something, you ask a question about like, what has Drake May done so well this season to where you're going to have to stop him? Or like, how do you expect to stop him? And Mike McCoy's answer was on what's your thoughts on Drake May and how he has risen to this level by saying Josh McDaniel is a good offensive coordinator, and that was it. like no credit or nothing on Drake May. I'm like, we're not even answering the questions now. So all right,
it is kind of funny.
That's my one diatribe.
Yeah,
it means nothing. It's small potatoes to all of you, but it just irks me now that we've gone. And I'm not saying this is pro Callahan by any means, but like in terms of like being there and asking questions and gathering information about this team and gathering information in general about like how the Titans play football and their opponents and talking football, we've gone from everything to nothing in the span of 48 hours. And that just irks me.
Yeah, for sure. Daniel says, McCoy, quote, "We're going to make changes. You'll see." I was like, all right. And some of that is just like, it's gamesmanship. It's trying to, you'll see. And now it's like the Patriots are, all right, well, what all could they change, right? And now they're going to have to go to try to prepare for the unpredictable because they're saying change, but maybe it's a double bluff situation where they're not going to change anything at all. And now you're just playing a mind game. So, all right. It is now time for trivia. We will do trivia. We must be better than yesterday on trivia. I will tell you why I was distracted during trivia yesterday. But first, I want to tell you guys about Barton Drury Insurance Group, customized solutions for all of your insurance need. They will help you out, help you understand how you can save money on your insurance policies, because insurance it's crazy out there these days. So how can you have a team on your side to help you get to what you need, what your family needs for whatever your situation is, whether it's health coverage, individual, family, your home, your auto, bundle things together, rental, umbrella policies, 401k planning. If you're looking for that long-term look at your finances, they can help you out. Barton Drury is local to the area. They're big sports fans, and they also have a great staff around them to help support you at every turn, and they will help you save some money. And I'm going to have you guys do this. You call them with that phone number on the screen, 615-806-1265. You call them and say, hey, A to Z said you could try to help me save some money on my insurance. And if you do that, we will put your name in a box to win a Titans jersey of your choice via A to Z Sports. But you got to call them, 615-806-1265. Tell them A to Z Sports sent you at bartondrury.com. It is trivia time. Hyundai, make them a part of your new car buying process. Go see them in Lebanon or online at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. That is where you turn. For them, go see Payne Bone, and he'll help you save some money on that new car. So, all right, time for some trivia. JT, are you ready for the graphic?
I am.
All right, I think I am. Here we go. Maybe. Is it working?
There we go. All right. So what were you all caught up with? By the way, Orlando says over under 5.5. And
yeah. Why was
someone
I distracted?
Where is Ann Herndon? We have not seen her in the chat. Someone needs to call Ann.
I thought Ann was here.
Hopefully she is, because we're gonna need her. So
I thought she had been. I don't know. Maybe not. No, I was distracted yesterday because I was sitting here doing the show, and all of a sudden, the cleaning service that we have come clean our house once a month pulled into the driveway right in front of my window. Like, oh crap. So I was like, oh no, we got to get going here. So that's why I was super distracted as I was trying to get trivia to go as fast as possible. But rushing things, that's why I missed the That's why I rushed so quickly on Torrey Holt on the first NFL question.
I see. Yeah.
So I was very distracted on that because I had to get moving up out of the office. All right. So 5.5 is our over under time. We've got time here today. So NFL, here we go. A 2-time Pro Bowler, linebacker Sean Lee played for this NFC team. That is the Dallas Cowboys, right?
Yep.
Okay. Cars. The Carnival is a minivan model produced by this brand. Carnival.
The Carnival.
Dodge.
That sounds right.
No,
like Dodge Carnival, Kia Carnival.
Kia Carnival. Kia sounds correct.
Oh.
All right. Television. This woman won the 2019 Screen Actors Guild Award for Best Actress for Apple TV's The Morning Show.
Oh, is that Dern?
I have no
I think
idea.
it's her name. Like Laura Dern.
I don't know. Chat's still throwing keys.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the chat. I want to say it's her or Witherspoon.
Reese Witherspoon. Reese or Aniston is what Daniel says.
Oh, it might be. It might be.
We got multiple people saying both Jennifer Aniston and Reese Witherspoon. Jennifer Aniston is the most popular.
It's a 50-50. It is.
I'm going Aniston. All
okay,
right.
Nice, cool.
Movies. Jack
Good.
Nicholson played a man who feels lost after retiring and takes an RV trip to his estranged daughter's wedding in this 2002 Alexander Payne directed dramedy. I feel like I saw this, but that's a long time ago.
Yeah, I have not seen this.
Yeah, I mean, you were barely alive.
Yep.
Wolf? As good as it gets?
About Schmidt, as good as it gets. Are we there yet?
No. Wolf.
I don't think that's it.
There's no answer. The Shining.
It is not The Shining. What if we do?
As good as it gets is
Yeah,
an
let's.
answer.
Or
About Schmidt is also an answer. I think as good as it gets.
sure. Let's do that. That sounds right.
Dang it.
Yeah.
Wrong.
Okay. Well.
I wake up every. Wait, what is this music? I wake up every evening with a big smile on my face, and it never feels out of place. Are the opening lines to this All-American Reject song from 2008?
Gives you hell? Is that what it's called? Give you hell? Yeah, that.
Yep. Chain restaurants. Bonchon Chicken is one of the largest Asian food chains in the United States and was founded in this country where the style of food originates. I don't know what Bonchon is, but
I've never heard of this place in my life. I'm gonna go
I think
South
it's Korean.
Korea.
I think it's
I'm
Korea.
gonna go South Korea. That was
But yeah, it's definitely not north.
okay.
NHL, Alexander Pietrangelo, Kevin Shattenkirk, and David Perron all recorded 40-plus points for this 49-win Western Conference team in 11-12. You've got to know this, right?
That's the Ducks.
Oh, wrong. What? Man.
Were they? Was that the Blues? I thought it was the Ducks. Ugh. Okay.
203 pointers for the Pistons in 2004, 2005. Finished runner-up for Sixth Man of the Year. Currently a free agent. I have no idea. New NBA, I'm out. We hit the Pistons this year. Malik Beasley?
Sure.
All right, celebrity mashup.
I've got nothing.
I think I know both, but I can't tell. Matt LeBlanc is one,
Okay.
and Jeremy Piven's the middle. Yes. All right.
Just go get Blues. I got too caught up on Shattenkirk there. So
movies was the hardest one.
yeah, was it about Schmidt?
Yeah,
Yep. All right. Well,
tough.
yeah, I'll do punishment sprints. We gotta hey, over here at A to Z Trivia, we gotta play better, we gotta coach better. So
yeah, for
we'll
sure.
do that.
I agree. Edward says that's not an actual person. I think Jeremy Piven's face on Matt LeBlanc's outside face looks just like Matt LeBlanc. That's what I thought. What was the time? Irrelevant because we lost by, we could not.
We got
get
2
the double dip.
incorrect. Yeah.
Yep, for sure. Okay. All right. That's it for us. Once again, game day's coming up. It's a home game. You come hang out with us before or after the game at Margaritaville, Landshark Bar and Grill, second floor. JT and I will be there for the noon slate with the Patriots. Shout out Traveler Whiskey and Miller Lite for their game day specials there at Landshark Bar and Grill on 4th and Broadway, second floor of Margaritaville. That's it for us today. Buck Rising live tonight for prime time to wrap up his week. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the show as well, and we'll see you guys tomorrow on a Friday morning. Appreciate it as always.